Welcome back, Wise Take Nation, for another week of NASCAR on this beautiful February 23rd. This week we will be in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Sin City for the Penzoil 400. With me always is my boy Tom. How's it going, Tom?
What's happening, Clint? Now, crazy, man. The Daytona was wild. A bunch of our members crushed. Our cores over at the Wise Take Nation were spot on. You listen, we missed most of the big wrecks in the middle. So, a lot of our guys, even with Kyle Busch being super chalk and a bunch of people having a lot of them, we're still able to cash even with him, man. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. We get back into it. Now we're in like the meat and potatoes of NASCAR, man. The mile-and-a-half tracks. We're on the Western swing now. They're going to be out on the West Coast just trying to enjoy a little bit of sun because that over here in the East Coast where they're from, it's freezing. So, Vegas is a lot like Homestead, mile-and-a-half, steep bank tracking. This one's got a cool progressive banking where it's a little less banking on the bottom, a little bit more on the top, so it lets these drivers kind of shoot up there, shoot back down it, try to get these little bits of runs. So that makes it more fun. It's been a kind of a crazy weekend. The Xfinity race got delayed with rain. We got qualifying rained out, so we went by points from last season. Got some news. We got Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell all going to the rear. So that kind of helps us play a little bit. You got Kyle Busch getting scored from the pole, but starting from the rear. Hopefully that turns some people off on some ownership because I still think with this race getting the 25-lap competition caution, that Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin should be able to come through the field just like they would if they were starting up front. I think Kyle Busch would have been somebody that would have been like 70, 80% owned if he was starting on the pole and actually racing from the pole because everybody would expect him to lead a crap ton of laps just like he did over in the truck race the other day. So, but other than that, man, a little bit from what else I got from practice, man, the Toyotas look pretty good. Ford's, again, good as always. So, we'll get into it, man, if you want to jump into these driver-by-driver breakdown that we do every week, man. What's going on, Clint?
Yeah, let's get that. And just to throw it out there, if you're watching this, please like and subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated for us. But let's start in this. Let's start with 10,000 and up. Got Kyle Busch, most expensive, all the way down to Hamlin at 10.2.
Yeah, so I mean, any of these guys in the 10K range, I mean, this isn't like Daytona. We're not leaving a ton of money on the table. A couple different ways you could approach this race, like we were talking before the show. It's like a 1 to 3 dominator race. If you've looked at the most recent races on these steep tracks, these mile-and-a-halves like this, it's been a 2 dominator race pretty much most of the time. So, that's where I'm going to focus my builds on is like a 2 dominator, try to get those other 2 or 3 guys that are coming from the field that just get you enough place differential to pay off with whatever scattered little bit of dominator points they get, maybe for some fastest laps cutting through the field. And then the rest is going to try to be some of those lower owned guys that you're taking a little bit more risk on. So, as we go through, Kyle Busch starting from the rear, instead of him being like 70, 80% owned, I still see him coming as probably somewhere in the 25 to 30% range. So, that's your call if you want to take a stand over on him, if you think Kyle Busch is going to do what he's supposed to do at these kind of races. Or you could take a stand to be on the under. But it's really that's your choice on him. Kevin Harvick, he's being scored from third, but starting on the outside of the front row now with Kyle Busch going to the back. So, if you think somebody's going to lead this race early, I think it would be somebody like Kevin Harvick. Has a really good chance of leading like the entire first stage or something like that. So if he goes out and is able to do something like that, Kevin Harvick could be one of the 2 dominators or 3 dominators that you're going to need this week. So, Kyle Busch, still a good play, even though he's starting back there. Kevin Harvick, I think, is a phenomenal dominator play. Martin Truex, a couple $100 cheaper than him. Same thing. Truex is now starting on the pole. So if you think Truex can get in front of Harvick and lead the whole first start of this race, then you take some more of Truex than Harvick. But, they're both pretty even, I think, in their own retrospect. Even with that, too, I mean, if you feel like you can do it, you can try to play the 2 of them together. It might force you to get a little bit cheaper on some of these guys, but there is 1 or 2 guys down there in like the 6 to 7K range that are pretty okay that maybe help you get it balanced enough to get back up there. And it's a lot of the same thing with Keselowski and Logano as well in the 10K range. Both of them, you're going to need some dominator points from both of them in order to pay off the price tag because you don't have a whole lot of place differential. So I think that makes Keselowski maybe a little bit more attractive than Logano, but Logano also has great finishes here. Same with Keselowski. I don't think Keselowski's finished outside of the top 10 in like 8 of the last 10 races or something like that. And then, rounding out the 10K range, you got Denny Hamlin, scored from 4th, but also starting from the rear. He's a little bit more risky than Kyle Busch as far as those cars going to the back, just because he's not as good as Kyle Busch is on these steep bank tracks. But again, he's Denny Hamlin. So, you're going to get happy that you're getting him at lower ownership than he would have been if he was starting 4th, and try to maybe pull something where he can go out and potentially win this race, or get you some dominator points coming through the field as well.
Okay, let's pick. So, 2 of your favorite. Who are if you were most exposed guys to this range?
Most exposed in this range is going to be Harvick and Truex for sure. You're one of them or both of them should be one of the dominators in this race for sure. They're pretty much, I don't want to call them a free square if you're playing either one of them, as long as you get that square right. But I think one of the 2 of them is going to lead a good enough chunk of this first stage or the better part of this race somehow, and it is going to be the dominator you're going to have.
Gotcha. The 9,000 only has 3 guys in it, so we'll go 8 and 9,000. Larson being 9,800 all the way down to Boyer at 8,000.
So, the whole 9K range, Larson, Elliott, and Blaney, those are going to be your guys you're hoping you're getting at lower ownership. Kyle Larson is somebody I could see that could potentially win this race, but also, as we've seen from races past, could also be the guy that slams into the wall and ruins your afternoon. With those guys, you're going to have to play these guys just because these are going to be the difference makers for you when it comes to these tournaments tomorrow. Is getting one of these guys possibly right. I don't know if it has to be one of these guys from the 9K range, but, Kyle Larson, with the steeper banking on this track, he's that guy that's able to run that top line and be super fast up there. And if he's able to keep it off the wall, like I said, Kyle Larson definitely could be that guy that takes you to the, takes you, deep into these tournaments. Same thing with Chase Elliott. It's probably a little safer, I guess, than Larson, just because you got a little bit of place differential. If he goes out and sneaks into a top 5, he doesn't need as many dominator points to pay off. And then the same thing exactly for Ryan Blaney. Again, he's going to be somebody that I think is going to be a little bit lower owned, but if you can get him in the right spot and he ends up doing what he's supposed to, he could be another one of those pivotal plays for you. Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman. I do like Kurt a little bit more. I get the extra place differential plus spot. Kurt Busch is a Vegas guy, man. He really wants this race. Him and his brother both, want to get these wins. Kyle got the win in the Truck Series. Not the same thing as getting a win in the Cup car, but I think you could see Kurt pushing. So again, he could end up like one of these other guys where he could be into if there is an incident, he's got a good chance of being one of those people that could be in it. Or having issues or just falling back pit road, anything. You don't know with these guys. So they're all kind of a little bit riskier in this range, but you're going to need something from in here. Alex Bowman, a lot of the same thing. He's been pretty fast, I believe, on the lap averages. He was fastest on the 20-lap average, which I like to see when you're actually pushing. With this race, it's not a lot of wrecks. You're going to be having long green flag runs. So you kind of can look a little bit more at these guys' lap averages over at NASCAR.com. And try to see these longer run cars. Look for cars with the least amount of fall off. And, if it looks like they could continue that run even deeper, like 40, 50 laps, if it were to get that far, which we shouldn't on gas, if they run a full round of gas on a set of tires, I mean, you're looking 35, 40 laps. So, these guys that can run these long runs are going to be the cars that are going to kind of just, methodically move through the field towards the end of these tire runs. A lot of the same thing for William Byron, Jimmy Johnson, pretty much this entire range, all the way down through even Clint Boyer. You're really hoping that this is one of your lower owned guys. I mean, they're still probably all going to come into like the 15 to 25% range. I don't expect anybody in here to be super low owned. Larson, I think, will be probably one of the lower guys just because he's starting so far forward. And Blaney, both of those guys have the wreck potential, but, they also have that win potential as well, too. So, like I said, these are going to be the difference makers in your lineups. These are going to be the ones that's going to take you to, the tops of the tournaments, or the ones that's just going to completely blow your lineup and, just ruin it for the day.
Being that said, for favorite, like Kurt Busch is obviously going to be one of your favorites in this 8 to 10K range. Who, if you had to choose the next 3 guys, another 3 guys, who would be your favorites?
Yeah, I do like, in this range, I do like, for the place differential, I do like Eric Jones is a good place differential. Hopefully he can get you into the top 10. Maybe an eighth or something like that would make him pay off. Kurt Busch, same thing. If he can squeak out something between the top 5, top 10, and maybe somehow some dominator points, he could be good. So I do like him as well. Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, I think with those guys, you're going to have to get some type of dominator for them to pay off. But they're good with the potential dominators, maybe on the lower end of it. But the lower owned plays in the dominator field. But I could see those guys. And then Boyer, I think sneaky. Same thing with even Jimmy Johnson. Man, he's won this race a few times, but I like the fact that he's starting so deep in the field in this price range. I think people might lean more towards people like Kurt Busch, or even save money and go to Eric Jones and Clint Boyer. Maybe even Eric Amarola. Maybe he'll get overlooked a little bit. We can get Jimmy Johnson at lower ownership, and for that price, I think you need like a top 10-ish finish, and he could pay off too.
He didn't get to finish last week, so maybe for his retirement tour, got to finish.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He's coming back.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Then 7K is, we have 5 guys in the 7K, so we'll just do the 7K next. Starting at the top at 7,800 with Almirola and going all the way down at 71 to Cole Custer.
Yeah, I mean, Stenhouse, man, please don't be Ricky Stenhouse this week. Just be Ricky. And go out and get us a solid finish this week. Ricky Stenhouse at $7,600. If he can get you into the top 15, you're cashing at the bank. Eric Amarola, he's a little riskier. He is pretty good on these types of tracks, but he's not somebody I think I'm going to go super heavy on. I think he has an average finish at this track inside the top 10. I'm going to need some dominator points if he's only going to finish inside the top 10, unless he goes out and gets you like into the top 5, he could pay off. MDB, it just like Stenhouse, one of these place differential guys that could be just the difference maker. I don't think MDB is going to be super high owned, starting 19th, but again, I don't think he's going to be one of those super low owned guys either. So Christopher Bell, another driver that's going to the rear, of those drivers going to the rear that are relevant, discounting Garrett Smithley there at all. Christopher Bell, I think it's going to affect him the most, to where he's going to have the least amount of ownership. So maybe you want to play that. I think, 22nd, I can't see him finishing worse than there if he finishes the race. So that's there. Cole Custer, again, I don't think I need to go there because there's better plays below him. I think he's going to come in pretty low owned, probably sub 10%. So if you want to try to jump on that train for some reason because you feel like Cole Custer's got something, then go ahead. But, if I'm doing 20 entry max, I don't think Cole Custer needs to make my 20 unless he makes like 1. Just trying to be a little weird with it.
Yeah, so mostly just 7K, just Stenhouse.
Stenhouse and MDB,
yeah.
Would be your guys you're going to want to focus on if you're in the 7K range, yeah.
And just don't crash.
Don't crash, exactly.
Stenhouse.
Exactly.
If you're tuning in this and you haven't already, please like and subscribe as we go through this the Penzoil 400 today. Thank you very much. But going next up is the 6K range. We got 6 guys in it. Started with Austin Dillon at 6,900, all the way down to Daniel Suarez at 6,000.
Yeah, so this is probably about as low as you're hopefully going to go. The way that you're building these teams with the 1 to 2 dominators, you shouldn't have to get much cheaper than maybe Ryan Preece is probably the furthest I would go. But in this 6K range, Chris Buescher, I think, has got some upside potential. At $6,700, you're happy with like a top 15. Same thing with Tyler Reddick. If you can go out there and get you a top 15, top 18, you're happy. Austin Dillon, same boat. I think Austin Dillon of these 3's probably got the better chance of getting inside like the top 15. And then kind of backwards with pricing. Chris Buescher, I think, would be second. Tyler Reddick could be third, but you're getting an inherently extra 2 spots for each one. So it's like if you feel like they could each move up 10 spots, then they're going to finish, whatever. It's not going to be 10 spots, but you're just hoping to get one of these 3 guys right in that 6K range because you're going to probably have to get somebody from down in here if you're building a more balanced build. Bubba Wallace, again, it's just like with Kyle Larson and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's in decent enough equipment that if he's able to finish this race, he should finish somewhere around 15th, 16th, 17th, something like that, which would be amazing. But we've also seen where he doesn't finish these races. So, he's got a little bit more money from last season. They seemed a little bit better at the end of last season. He wasn't horrible last week until the wreck. Ross Chastain, we got at 6,100. He's in Ryan Newman's car. Since we finally found out today, Ryan Newman suffered a head injury. I mean, we all kind of figured that for the last week, but I don't know why it had to be such a huge secret all the way until, the press conference an hour before the race the week after. But, Chastain, I don't think is going to garnish any huge ownership. I think everybody's going to say, listen, this is the best shot Ross Chastain's going to get, so that's going to help push his ownership up a bit. I don't think I'd have a ton of them. Let me see where I think he was at. I think he was like the 15%-ish range. Chastain. Yeah. I took a stand that people have got him going at like 25-30%, which I don't know. I'm definitely, I think, taking a stand on the under just because, this is the best equipment he's had, but he's still Ross Chastain. I haven't seen him really do anything for me to think that he's going to finish much better than 15th, but you could see, I don't know. As far as the 6K range, I'm pretty sure Daniel Suarez is going to be the absolute chalk down here just because he's starting 35th. He's a decent driver, but in crappier equipment. He's not in a Stewart-Haas car anymore, so I don't expect like a top 10, top 15, but, I could see easily Suarez getting into like the low 20s and getting you the 10 place differential points as long as he stays out of trouble. And that really wraps out the 6K range, like I said. And then even with these 5K guys, I'll just jump right into it. Clint, they're not going to go too far here.
Yeah.
The next few guys, McDowell, Ty Dillon, Ryan Preece, Nemechek, and LaJoie. I'm not really trying to go much lower than maybe LaJoie, I think, is the absolute. I don't think I need to go to Garrett Smithley or anybody below him. You shouldn't have to get that cheap. Nemechek, he's a rookie, but he's been pretty decent on tracks like this when he was in other series. So, Nemechek, I got some love for. Ryan Preece, he's starting a little far forward for me, but, if you want to get a little bit of him because you're down here, he could be somebody you could catch at lower ownership. And then Ty Dillon and Michael McDowell, I think, are going to be your safer plays with inside the 5K range. I'd probably be a little heavier on Ty Dillon just because I think he's a little better driver. McDowell, if we were playing super speedways, McDowell's a great super speedway racer, but he's not he's not my favorite play at these mile and a halves.
So you just one guy. If you were playing, you would not put more than two guys in this low 6'5", 5K range in a lineup.
Hopefully, if you're below, say, 6,500, it's only for one guy, and then the rest of your lineup tries to come from up top. But if you get to where you've got your 5 drivers and it's like, crap, I have $5,500 or $5,700 back, don't get too scared. You're just taking a little bit more of a dart throw on these guys down here, like from McDowell, Ty Dillon, Ryan Preece, Nemechek, LaJoie. And like I said, unless you somehow built some crazy lineup that you're super excited with the 5 guys you got out of your 6, if you're playing DraftKings, and if you think there's a possibility that there's some wrecks, you could possibly pay one of these guys down here under Smithley, but you're just hoping for attrition, which, like I said, this isn't a track where you're going to see a whole lot of attrition. I don't think there'll be more than a couple of cars that don't finish the race. And even the cars that do get in accidents, it's not as super fast. They're wrecked pretty good, but we've seen at Daytona, you can make these cars keep running, and even if I wouldn't really try to get down here, but if, like I said, you had the other 5 drivers and you felt they were all studs, you could try to play somebody down here just to kind of filler a spot and just hope for like maybe a 15 or a 20 because you're expecting your other 5 to go actually get you 50s and 60s and 70s. So,
yeah. That will do it for the driver breakdown. If there's any questions, I have chat pulled up, so nothing yet. But if just post your questions, and I'll be here ready to feed them to them.
Yeah. So, if you're looking at, I guess we'll go over kind of who I think are your potential dominators. We'll go over the place differential plays. This is kind of a recap, and then who I like at low ownership. I think, like I said, Truex and Harvick are going to be your guys that are going to be super chalk. You're going to see a lot of people 30, 40%. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Team Penske. I think those guys are going to be, a little further behind them, but still fairly safe plays. Kurt Busch as well. I do kind of like as far as potential dominators. Chase Elliott as well. Kyle Larson, like I said, I like him more just as he's a checkers or wreckers kind of guy. So we'll see him. And then you got Ryan Blaney in the same boat. And then even Denny Hamlin, just based on the fact we're getting a bit lower ownership starting from the rear. As far as place differentials, like we said earlier, I think Daniel Suarez will be mostly your chalk. MDB is another good play as far as place differentials. Same thing with Eric Jones, Ty Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, Chris Buescher. And then you can start getting into some of your other guys like Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, if you think he can do it, and Bubba, and then John Hunter Nemechek. And then, these guys that are going to be low owned that could take you to the promised land. Look, we've talked to, I think, Kyle Larson, Blaney, Nemechek, Hamlin, LaJoie, Dillon, and maybe even Byron or Preece, as far as these low owned guys you want to try to potentially target.
Yeah. I didn't get to say the question in chat. It was lowest owned place differential play, and you just went through that.
Yeah, I think the lowest owned place differential play you're going to see probably John Hunter Nemechek or somebody like Bubba Wallace. But like I said, Bubba Wallace and all them, they need to finish, man. Same thing with Nemechek. If he can get you into the low 20s, you're happy with Nemechek at the price tag.
Yeah.
So, week to week for you guys viewing us on YouTube, you're watching us live over at the Wise Take Nation, man. We've got, I weekly put out a NASCAR article where I kind of break down each of the positions, each of the players for the most part, as well as this show. Along with some charts articles, we're also working, hopefully, in the next few months or so here, we're going to get our, projections model or something like that working on our NASCAR team as well. So, you definitely want to come join us. I know that over at Wise Take Nation, we got some day passes you could take advantage of where you can check out all the sports. We've got season passes on any sport that you like. Everything from NBA, MLB, NHL. Yeah, we got esports. We got XFL coverage now, golf. We kill it for you guys day to day, man. We put in the grind so you guys can just, chill and watch our funny asses over here on these shows and get the research and have fun watching it. Like I said, we're a nation. All of our members, work together through our, membership Slack chat. So, definitely check us out, man. It's a great place to be. And like I said, as Clint said before, man, if you're watching us live, man, give us those like buttons, give us those shares, man. Let people know that we're out here. Helps us a lot. So, any other questions we got up in chat, Clint?
We just got one. Fading Hardvick and Truex for Logano and Larson too risky. Is it too risky?
I mean, you're definitely taking a lot more risk than if you played one of the two of those guys. I mean, if you're talking single entry, I probably wouldn't do that on a single entry. If you're doing it as one of your lineups in a 20 entry or 150 entry, okay, for sure. But if I'm playing the single entry, triple, the 3 entry max and 20 entry max, I could see that happening on maybe 1 or 2, but it's not going to be the way I would focus my builds for the day. But Penske's awesome, so I mean, both those cars are also in play. So it's not a horrible build. I probably wouldn't do it on a single entry, but if you're playing a tournament, that could be a tournament strategy that could take you there.
Is 6 Reddick out of 20 lineups too many?
6 Tyler Reddick lineups? No.
Out of 20. So that is 30%.
I think that's about where I ended up. Let me look at my Tyler Reddick. I think I'm in that ballpark. I don't think I'm quite 30%. I ended up with Reddick at 15%. So it might be too much. I don't absolutely hate it. I just the place differential upside for Reddick is a little bit more. I mean, Reddick, you need a 15th place out of Tyler Reddick, I think, for him to pay off. So I don't hate it. A little heavy for my taste, but it's not the worst thing you could do.
Here we go. Thoughts on Harvick and Logano as two dominators for single entry GPP?
Yeah, I could get behind that all day long. That's Harvick and Logano for if you're playing a single entry. That's like I said, it could be Harvick and Truex, or it could be one or the other. I think Harvick's got the better shot, and then if you start getting a little bit cheaper, Logano, Keselowski, definitely could get behind both of those guys as the second dominator all day long.
LaJoie or Suarez?
Suarez. I mean, for sure. LaJoie. Yeah, Suarez, I think you have. I mean, the extra 5 spots and the $700 price difference is minimal to me. I definitely would have a lot more Suarez than LaJoie, but LaJoie is also not a bad play. I think you're going to get LaJoie at lower ownership than you're going to get Suarez. I think Suarez is going to come somewhere like 30, 35%. Everybody's looking at him as the free square for place differential.
Yeah. Is it better to run one dominator lineup or two dominator lineup? Harvick is my first dom.
I really think 2 is the way to go. Especially on lower entry stuff. And you said Harvick was his one dominator.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, any of these guys within like the 95-ish, even the 9K, anything in the 9 to 12K range, you could put any of these guys as your second dominator. Like we had just the previous guy said Keselowski or Logano, or he was playing Logano as his second. Logano, Keselowski are great, and then as you start getting cheaper, you're just going to start trying to hopefully get more value out of the place differential and dominator possibilities out of those guys that are just cheaper. But definitely Harvick is I think my highest. I think I got him at like 40% on my 20 entry max. Gotcha.
Nothing else has popped up yet so far. How much Jimmy Johnson do you have?
Ooh, Jimmy, I think I ended up like 10. I don't think I was crazy on Jimmy.
Just a couple.
I like the place differential possibility. I ended up at 15%. I had him on 3 of my 20 teams. He's got the old school vibe here. I think he won 3 straight races here at one point in like the late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, I don't have a whole ton of them just because we've seen how Jimmy Johnson can also be one of those guys that just completely ruins your day as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, those races were only a couple years ago, so.
Yeah, I mean, his were like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but it's crazy. I was expecting him at the end of the season last season to retire, but
got a couple questions here though.
Sure.
It just says Ty Dillon. Thoughts on Ty Dillon? I'll go.
Ty Dillon, as far as you getting into these cheap guys, man. Ty Dillon, I got a lot of love for. Starting 24th, $5,700. Ty, you need a 17th, 18th, maybe 6 to 8 spots to pay off at $5,700. So, I'm not asking too much out of him. I don't think he's going to be super high owned, but as far as these $5,000 guys, he's probably one of my favorites in the 5K range.
Gotcha. JJ Yelly has an average finish of 24 at Vegas. Good or bad play?
I mean, if you're down here, I guess if you had to play somebody at 5K, that's decent. I mean, if he could get you 10 place differential points, he could be a difference maker too. I think his projected ownership was next to nothing as well too. So if you think he's going to be a low owned, one of your low owned hammers, it goes out and gets you like a 25th or 26th or what do you say, average 27th?
4th.
24th?
24th.
Yeah, he goes out and gets you 24th. He could be a difference maker. I don't think he's going to be super high owned because, like I said, I don't think you're going to have to end up down here. But, plugging him in and leaving yourself, close to 10K per driver for the other 5. It leaves you 9K if you plug him in for the other 5 drivers. So, yeah, it could be a play. You could swing, something like that too if you're building more balance. Get him in there and have enough money to play a lot more of these middle range guys you like.
Anybody just tuning in, if you could hit that like button and subscribe. You can catch us every Sunday for little before race time to get you updated, or you're just tuning in late. But Nemechek over Suarez on DK. Would you play
Nemechek over Suarez? Not
yeah.
Suarez is definitely going to be the safer play. Nemechek, for the price difference, I mean, I can see Nemechek being a pivot off of Suarez. I still think Suarez is going to be the chalk, but Nemechek is definitely a decent pivot for sure.
Thoughts on Boyer today?
So Boyer, I think, is going to be one of your lower owned guys with potential dominator. Get you right here. I'd like. He's going to have to either, go out and win you this race, and get those points to pay off, or you're going to need, some type of dominator points. I think even at 8K, you don't need a whole lot. I think that's what's going to curb his ownership a little bit and come in somewhere probably like the 15 to 20% range, which puts him towards the lower end. I see today being a little bit more blended out. I don't think there's going to be any really, other than like 3 or 4 guys that are going to be like 35 or 40%. The rest of these lower owned guys, he could be a difference maker. I like Clint Boyer a lot. It's just going to be all whether he's able to, like I said, either finish inside of the top 5 with some dominator points or go out and win the race. So for you guys tuning in, my boy over here's dog probably is larger than most of you tuning in. So don't let those barks scare you. He's only bit through the camera once.
Just be quiet. Okay. Let me get back to these. Still got a question. Who has a decent shot to get fast lap points?
With Kyle Busch coming all the way through the field, I think Kyle Busch, draft isn't super important here, but he's going to be trying to slice through this field. So I think Kyle Busch could get you a lot of fastest laps. Again, any of these guys starting inside the top 10 could get you some potential fastest laps. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch. I think your best chance probably Harvick and Truex to get them. I've seen Vegas before where the fastest A-laps and the laps led come from the guys in the front. Because like I said, the draft isn't that important. It's pretty important down the straightaways, but once these cars get into the corners, they wish the draft wasn't there at all because of that progressive banking. So Kyle Busch, I think, slicing through the field is going to be the one that's probably going to get the most. But again, he's starting on the pole, so we need a ton and him to finish either winning this race or in the top 5 with a ridiculous amount of those lap leads, fastest laps, because I don't think he's going to get many laps led, if any, unless strategy gets him out there, towards the end of the second stage or something like that.
Gotcha. Jeff Terry asks, I got Bowman. Should I bump down to Eric Jones?
He's got Bowman. Should he bump down to Eric Jones?
Yes.
With the place differential, let's see what we got here. It's like you could literally split the two of them with a knife. Byron, I think, Eric Jones, I think, is slightly safer just because you're getting the extra possible place differential plays. But Byron's not too bad here. He was super good on the long runs. He was the fastest on the 20 lap. Like I said, it's a lot of long runs, man. I don't think you have to. If you like the lineup you've got with Bowman in it, keep it. But like I said, the two of those, man, it's a coin flip. If you had the money and you got Bowman in there and you can get him at a little bit lower ownership, I'd probably stick with Bowman. But if you're just trying to be a little bit on the safer side, the place differential, you can make a stand for Eric Jones as well.
Thoughts on Lars, Bama Texan? That's two interesting things combined. Thoughts on Larson Blaney lineup over 2 10K guys?
You're swinging for the fences with that one. If you're not playing anybody in the 10K range or above, as a real fence swinger, but I don't hate it. I mean, that's going to be freaky enough that if it pays out, you're going to be sitting in first place by yourself. So you can max out whatever win you're going to get. They both have dominator potential, man, but they've also got that wreck potential. So, like I said, both Blaney and Larson are going to be these guys that are going to try to run up by the wall. And, it just takes one little snafu when you're 6 inches from the wall to be putting it in the wall. So, very risky, but there's a lot of reward possibility there, but a lot more risk, I think, than the reward.
O-S. O space S. That's it.
Perfect. It's quick, fast and simple.
Stenhouse, too expensive at 7.6K, is asking, what was your exposure to Stenhouse?
I got a lot of Stenhouse, man. It's either going to completely make my day great or it's going to completely kill me. I think the projections I was looking at, he was somewhere in the 20 to 25% range. I'm taking a stand. I took him at about 30, just because I don't need a whole ton at his price tag. I mean, at $7,600, if he gets me a top 15, I'm happy. He was running great in the Daytona 500 last week, different type of track, but this is still Ricky Stenhouse. He's not in the best equipment anymore, but he's still Ricky Stenhouse. He's still Ricky Stenhouse as well. So you got to figure he's either going to finish inside the top 15 or he's going to wreck. So you got to have some exposure to him because he's cheap enough, but he's also could ruin your day as well. So, yeah, I do like Ricky, though.
Yeah, Bama Texan again asking, fading Kyle Busch and Hamlin, is that a mistake?
Yeah. I mean, if you're fading them on 20 teams, yeah, absolutely a mistake. If you're making a single entry, I could take a stand on not playing either of them, but if you're playing anything multiple entry, you've got to have at least one of them and at least one of your entries if you're doing a 3 entry, I think, just because you're getting them at lower ownership and you're getting these studs. Even though they're starting from the rear, I still think that, Kyle Busch is going to have to get you enough fastest laps, which is going to be an uphill battle, but doable. And it's kind of the same thing with Hamlin. He's just got to get you some type of dominator points and potentially win or finish better than where he's posted, because the negative place differential is going to hurt. But, yeah, like if you're doing a single entry, like I said, I could see you fading both of them. But if you're doing 20 entry or anything like that, you got to get these guys into a couple.
We'll take any more questions, just pop them up, and while asking questions, just hit that like and subscribe button. At the same time, I'll answer them. Hit the like, give you some, give me some. That's how scratch my back, scratch your back.
Exactly.
That's how I'll do
exactly. It. Yeah. Was it Bama Texan? Come over and join Wise Take, bro. Or OS operating system. Get you over there as well.
He says the reason he's from 2 states. He's a Longhorn fan that's living in Tide country.
Nice.
That's a short version, he said. But David,
I'm a Browns fan living in Giants country, so I know the feeling, bro.
2 amazing teams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait. David asked, Harvick, Kozlowski, Logano, same lineup with value below 6K like Nemechek for GPP DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going GPP and you think this is going to somehow be a 3 dominator race, I could definitely stand behind that. That's the kind of build that's going to force you down to people like Nemechek or maybe even a JJ Yaley if you really wanted to swing with a lineup like that. But yeah, no, GPP 3, like I said, that could be the difference maker. If everybody's playing 2 dominator and there ends up being 3 and you're the dude with 3 dominators, it's going to take you far. So, if you're doing mass entry, definitely get I have 1 or 2 of my 20 entry teams are with a 3 dominator with the cheap value guy too. But like I said, you don't need to get really, really cheap. I think you can still kind of blend out between those guys in the 6K, 7K range as your other drivers and still pay off.
Gotcha. Christy Thornton asked, going back to Boyer, just go over Boyer real quick. We said a little bit ago, but Clint Boyer.
I think the fact that I think Boyer's ownership is going to be fairly low. I think Boyer is probably going to come in sub 20%. So I like that. Again, he's going to have to get you some type of dominator points, whether it's fastest laps or laps led to pay off even at 8K. But, if he goes out and finishes top 5 with maybe like another 5 to 10 dominator points that he gets to keep, he could pay off. But, not somebody you need to take a stand at like 50%, but he's still definitely somebody that's in play. All these good drivers are starting in the starting position where they finished in points last year. So it's, anybody really starting inside of the top 20, you probably have some type of case you could make for him just because they finished top 20 in points last year. So, but Clint Bowyer, I do like as being cheaper as far as these guys starting inside of the top 10.
Gotcha. Nothing after that so far. 2:23. Got an hour and 7 minutes before race time. I'm sure there's still good contests out there.
So the cool thing is, too, is if you guys do end up coming over to the Wise Take Nation, like I said, the Slack chat's probably my favorite part. You can ask me questions up until 10 seconds before lock. I don't care. With NASCAR, once everything's set, it's kind of set. My lineups are in, unless there's some late-breaking news that kind of pushes me off somebody, as far as cars going to the rear. But I'm available all the way up to lock for questions. I try to answer as many as possible. Like I said, we weekly have a charts article that comes out, just kind of goes over the race history and driver's history at these types of tracks and this track, as well as, like I said, a weekly write-up, man, where I kind of break it down to how I see this race going, as far as, is it going to be a race that we're going to see a lot of variance? Is it a race we're going to see a lot of long run, short run speeds? Is it going to be, what types of tracks and all that? And give you a breakdown to just kind of make you a better DFS player. We don't sell picks over at the Wise Take Nation, but we help you make those picks, with the data and stuff that we compile. So, yeah, like I said, and Clint said it repeatedly, man, give us those likes, give us those things. We'll be back here next week. You make sure you guys tune back in and make sure you guys, if you get the chance, man, like I said, at least try a day pass out over at Wise Take Nation. And once you're in, man, you're hooked, dude. We're a nation, and we call ourselves a nation for a reason.
David S. Bush got PE penalized.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, of course.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't P penalized. I must actually. But OS asks, Truex, Suarez, Austin Dillon versus Stenhouse, Johnson, and Bowman. That was it. Maybe who do you like better?
Truex, Suarez. Are you telling me that those three together compared?
Yeah. So Truex, Suarez, Dillon, Austin Dillon for the first three. Stenhouse, Jimmy Johnson, and Bowman for the second three.
I like the first one better, but the second one's also not horrible. But I hope with that second one, you still got one of those studs up top as far as your potential dominators, possibly. I mean, not that you need them, but if you're doing single entry stuff, you're going to need one of these. I think one of these guys in the 10K to 9 to 10K range is going to be a dominator.
Gotcha. Jeff Terry asks, expect ownerships to be pretty spread out. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I said that earlier in the show. I don't think, there's going to be some people like, Truex and Harvick, I think are going to garner some pretty heavy ownership. Same thing with Daniel Suarez. Everybody's thinking Suarez is the plug and play for place differential. But, really, once you get past that, it really does taper off pretty good. But it stays into that, 30 to 20, 18% range. So, yeah, I like that because that just means you're not going to have as many ties. And, I've seen in Daytona 500s, I think the 100K first prize was split out to like 6 people and ended up being like 28K. I still would have been absolutely fine with 28K. But, that's what I like with these when it's a little bit more of a balanced build. You can get a little bit you don't have to get as weird as you would to try to set yourself apart, to try to get yourself a unique lineup compared to everybody else.
And Christian has another question. Who's the best driver under 6K that you like?
So saying he's got 6K left. Under 6K, Daniel Suarez.
Under 6K, it says.
Suarez is at 6K. I think he's the safest, if not. Probably Ty Dillon, then Nemechek, then LaJoy, probably as far as those three. I think so. I'd rank the next three on that price range.
Gotcha. I assume he's talking about Kyle Busch, but no, you still like Kyle Busch. Brandon Dar asked, so you should have played Kyle Busch. But
I like him a little bit more than I would have liked him had he started from the pole, because if he was starting from the pole, you saw the dominant performance he put in the truck race. He probably would have been 60, 70% owned, and you would have been sitting there, sick to your stomach, taking a stand either left or right. Either you're going to take a stand and be 75, 80%, thinking that he's going to win this race and lead most of the race, or you took a stand underneath and hope to God that something happened and you positioned yourself over the field. But now that he's going to be somewhere in like the 25 to 30% range, I like him a little bit more. He's going to need dominator points, and he's going to need to pretty much win this race in order to have the negative place differential not kill him. But you still got to have some exposure for sure. You still got to have a little bit. But I like him better because you could take a stand at either 20 or 30% instead of taking a stand at 70 or 80.
Yeah. Thomas Cabanis, I don't know, maybe. For FanDuel strategy, do you focus on finishing positions or differential?
No, FanDuel is almost all about finishing position. You'll probably need one or two place differential guys to kind of set yourself apart, but you're more looking for a guy starting 20th to finish 10th in place differential, because you're still going to get it's just so much heavier on the finishing position than it is anything else on FanDuel. I don't play so much on FanDuel. I really focus on DraftKings because I do like it's a little bit, it helps set you apart a little bit, where finishing position, it's a little bit easier to kind of figure that out. But at the same time, it's these other guys on there that you need to have that aren't I don't know. I'm not a big FanDuel guy, but yeah, it's all about finishing position over there.
Gotcha. With Truex having such a good stat line at Vegas, that says, are the not so good lap averages a concern?
I mean, it's a concern, but I mean, starting on the pole, since Kyle Busch is going to the rear, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. Like I said, Truex and Harvick, I think, are going to be your chalk guys that are going to potentially dominate this first half of the race and/or be one of the potential dominators for the weekend. So you're going to have Truex either way, I think, in some of your lineups. But yeah, I definitely think he could. But I think Harvick's got a better chance of doing better than Truex does as far as the dominators.
Gotcha. We got an hour before race time, an actual hour, not like last week, where you got to see 20 laps and then had to wait another 18 hours.
Crazy. It sucked.
Yeah. Took a nap. I'm like, maybe we'll be back on. And I was like, no, still not on.
So all you guys that had your Daytona 500 parties, we apologize. The weather should apologize, because you probably got really drunk since there was no racing going on.
Yeah, but at least you weren't the camera crew who had to stand out in the rain for hours.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, no. That was weird. But that'll do it. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for subscribing. Hopefully you all go out and smash this week in NASCAR to win some money, and hit us up on Twitter. I am at Clint Patrikas. He is at kartracing_22. For Tom and myself, thank you for everything, and good luck. Wise Take Nation. Peace out.
Good luck.
Yeah.